Hey, Space Watchers, and good morning, and a very warm welcome here to this very special Space Café this morning. The fifth morning at the IAC 2024. And as Emma pointed out, this is the place to communicate cross-border, cross-systems, openly, and that's what we do today. So it's my great pleasure to welcome our editor-in-chief this morning, of course, Dr. Emma Gatti.
Good morning, everyone.
And the space reporter of China's CGTN,
Yeah. CGTN.
What stands for China's Global Television Network, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Wu Lei.
Yeah.
So, how are you doing, Lei, this
Good,
morning?
thank you, and it's great to see you again, Torsten and Dr. Emma, again at IAC. We met last year in Norway and also in Baku, and also it's my second time here at IAC, but first time in Milan, in Italy.
Welcome.
Yeah.
And how is our real Milanese doing this morning?
I think I'm holding on. This is the last day, and I'm just starting to feel it. So I think I'm going to be happy that we're going to wrap up today.
And that your city is a bit more empty than thereafter.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay, so we will play this Space Café in a very special way. That will be more a dialogue between us than a Q&A. And Lei, so what is this most important, most impressive technologies and products that you have seen here at the IAC?
Yeah, since this is my second time at IAC, I really look forward to seeing more advanced space technologies, new products in the space sector. When I come to this exhibition hall, I was really impressed by so many companies in the space sector. I went to China space booth. I saw the lunar samples from the Chang'e 6 mission. It was the first time that human brought back the samples from the far side of the moon. And also went to NASA's booth and saw another samples from outer space. And I also went to Indian booth. I saw the Chang'e 3 mission, the spacecraft, and also went to some private company booths. I saw a lot of solutions and products related to private space stations, because we know they are offering a lot of advanced solutions to send more humans and more cargoes to the outer space. And also, I just came to this German space booth, and I saw a robotic arm that is very impressive, that I can see they are using the latest AI technologies, big data, computing, to try to remove the cargo in outer space in a more cost-effective way, in a more faster way in outer space. So also a new spacesuit like the Prada and Axiom cooperate together. They are providing a more fancy and more advanced spacesuit. So these are some of the most impressive products that I've seen at IAC. And also I met some students from developing countries, and also they are really motivated to come here to see what are the latest trends and what are some of the latest technology in the space sector, and also talk to the space leaders from some developing countries like South Africa, like Brazil. And it's also their intention to get networking, to talk to people from different countries, to have more collaboration. So IAC is really a great opportunity for the space people to come together, to explore and to meet and to connect and to have more collaboration and exchanges, not only in the technologies, but also in more missions and also other communications. So I'm really impressive about this IAC in Milan. So.
And I was wondering, because obviously this was for us one of the unique occasion to actually see Chinese delegate talking to the Western world. They were on stage on Monday. It was very interesting, and I was wondering, for you, that you're a Chinese, so obviously maybe you're more able than me to interpret what they said. What do you think that was the most important takeaway, the most important message that China wanted to communicate in the past 5 days here at ISC?
Yeah, I went to some forums of Chinese delegations at IAC. I think one of the key message is, continuously collaboration on the lunar missions. China will carry out the Chang'e 7 and the Chang'e 8 in the next few years. And for the Chang'e 7, they have already opened a lot of opportunities for collaboration. Like Italy, we also play their payload in the Chang'e, in the upcoming Chang'e mission. And also China proposed to build an International Lunar Research Station. 15 countries have already signed in. So in the message that I have read that China welcomes more countries to join these lunar missions. So this time, a lot of countries have come to listen to the forums, listen to the panels. They want to get a closer, a message about what China's future lunar and Mars missions in the future, even the human space flight mission. Yesterday, they have a panel focusing on the future of China's space station Tiangong. The Tiangong space station will continue to expand, and more people will be sent to the Tiangong space station. The astronauts, the foreign astronauts are also welcomed to visit China's Tiangong space station. Besides these astronauts, more experiments will be carried out in the Tiangong space station. So we can see the key message is, China welcomes more collaboration. We want more exchanges, communications. We want to be more involved in these global space communities. I think there is no boundary in the space. So we just work together, work hard to push the boundaries and to welcome more collaborations. That's the key message.
Emma, you joined a few of the sessions, especially on China. What was your impression on that?
I agree with you. Obviously, China communicated a very strong message of international collaboration. It was expressed more than once. I had actually a question for you. Since you're here, I want to pick your brain on this.
Yeah.
China was the first day during the roundtable, the meeting of the delegates of the agencies. Guoping Li, the chief engineer of the China National Space Administration, specifically said, in order to maintain the moon sustainable, we need more information sharings regarding target, regarding landing. And I was wondering, in your opinion, does China perceive there is still a bit of lack of transparency? Does China perceive there is not enough information sharing from the Western world?
I was there at the panel, and I'm also agree with what Mr. Li Guoping said. We need more information sharing about the landing, about the missions on the lunar surface or on the outer space, because every time when China launched a like a satellite or a lunar mission, we will put the information on the website of China National Space Administration. The rocket orbit, the landing site of this lunar spacecraft, and also we will let some countries know about the exact location about the lunar spacecraft on the moon, when it will be launched, how it will be landing, or the exact location on the lunar surface. That is open information on the website of China National Space Administration. So I think what Mr. Li emphasized that in the future, because a lot of countries will have the lunar missions, will launch more rockets, it's better that we can have this kind of mechanism for information sharing. We will let everybody knows about the launch information, the time, the window, and also the orbit of the satellite. So I think this information mechanism is quite critical for all the countries involved in the space sector. So I totally agree with you that all the countries, not only China, US, or the European countries, and also other countries involved in the space sector, we should have more information sharing.
And since we are in Italy, how are you perceiving the Italian-Chinese collaboration? I know that this is not the first time Italy and China collaborate. Recently, Italy had some payloads on your recent moon missions.
Yeah.
So I'm interested, how do you see this progressing? Do we have something coming up together? What's your perspective?
Exactly. I think this year is a very fruitful year for China-Italy space collaboration because Chang'e 6 mission was launched earlier this year, and one of the 4 international payloads is from Italy. That is a laser retroreflector from Italy's National Institute for Nuclear Physics. And it's a very important payload that will be put on the lander of the rover. It's going to detect a very important element on the lunar surface. So this one proves the fruitful collaboration between China and Italy. And we have been told that in the next lunar missions of China's Chang'e lunar missions, Italy's another payload will be put on the rover too in the upcoming Chang'e 7 and Chang'e mission. And we were expected to see more Italian payloads. And also I can tell you a little bit more in the history. Back in 2018, China launched an electromagnetic satellite via the Llama 2D rocket. That satellite is called Chang'e-1. It was a joint mission between China and Italy, between China National Space Administration and Italian Space Agency. So that's also another very important satellite between China and Italy. And also we have to mention about Italian astronaut Samantha. Samantha went to China in 2017. She went there with German astronaut Matthias, and they have a joint training in China with Chinese astronauts or taconauts. They trained together, and Chinese astronauts also went to Europe for training with them. So we can see in the past few years, China and Italy and China and Europe, we have a lot of collaboration, not only in the satellites, but also for talents training for astronauts. And we are expected to see more collaboration in this aspect.
Area.
Yeah.
Let me jump in here. You talked about the recent payload on the Chang'e 6 with the Italian Institute. And we spoke about data sharing before. So how does it look like then? Will you receive the data? Obviously, you're providing the infrastructure, and then it's commonly shared between China and Italy, and then made public? Or so how does it work? So I mean, how does a cooperation look like in detail?
This is a very interesting, very important question. When we filmed a very lovely documentary called Back to the Far Side of the Moon on the Chang'e 6 mission. We filmed the 4 crews, international crews from Italy, from France, from ESA, and from Pakistan. We asked the same question to the scientists, and they told us that all the data will be firstly open to the scientists between Chinese scientists and also scientists from France, from Italy, from Pakistan. They will share the data first. And after that, the data will be open to the whole world. Any institution or any space agency, any scientist who want to take a closer look at this data, they can apply. And as long as the apply is approved, they can get the data. And the data is quite open to the whole world. So that's the importance of cooperation mechanism. All the data, all the cooperation from this Chang'e 6 mission will be open to the scientists around the world because they want to have this kind of collaboration in the future. They want to not this closed collaboration. They want to have more exchanges with the scientists around the world.
Emma, anything from your end to add on the China-Italy collaboration?
No, I think we should discuss the ILRS now.
Absolutely, no, I didn't want to ignore.
It's the elephant in the room. No.
Absolutely. So, Lee, how can we envision with Artemis and ILRS on our doorsteps? So it's both work in progress, more exchanges and cooperation, as we talked earlier with Italy in the entire space sector. So how can that look like in the future to come? Because at the moment we have two sides. There is no border at the moment on the moon, but there is an intellectual border, obviously. So how can we break that?
Okay, so talking about ILRS, it will be built around the first session will be built in the next few years, and we have been told that that is a very mega project for China and its global partners, and it's very interesting to see that so many countries are hoping to back to the moon and hoping to build a base there on the south pole of the moon, and that is a question that have been asked during the panel. Many Chinese delegates are participating. They are also saying that will Chinese technauts be able to visit the Artemis base on the moon in the future, maybe? And I think it's interesting to see that I think that both the lunar bases on the moon, we hope to have more collaboration, more exchanges in the future. But so far, all these countries are focusing on building the lunar surface, building the lunar bases. I think the next step is to have this kind of mechanism, have this kind of cooperation. How can we exchange the information, exchange the data? How can we visit each other on the moon? Because only a few people will be working and living on the moon, but they are the only few people on the moon. They should help each other.
Emma, you interviewed quite often our friend Mike Gold on the Artemis Accords. I mean, he is the father of Artemis, and we have seen him here also recognized with the Excellence Award at the first day. How do you see that from having this discussion with him in your ear and in your mind?
Well, I think it's complicated.
It's still too early, I think.
Yes, it's too early in the morning. No, I was very interested in hearing your opinion, Lei, simply because, of course, we heard the Artemis opinion. When it comes to Artemis and the ILRS collaboration, I suppose my feeling is that even if with Michael Gold this was not expressed openly, is that some political impediment don't allow an alignment between the two missions, because China is not allowed to collaborate in certain projects because of previous regulation. There is not an explicit veto for China for the Artemis program, but there are some other regulation, the Wolf Amendment in place that doesn't allow them. And of course, implicitly this means that China and the US won't be able at the moment to collaborate on Artemis, which is why there is the ILRS.
Join the party, but you don't get a cake.
Yes, exactly. But I think now I would like to focus with you, Lei, about the impressive fastness and speed to which the ILRS is developing. I don't know, I don't want to catch you unprepared. I don't know if you have some dates, but I think I heard from Guoping Li initial design of the mission of ILRS developed by 2035,
yes.
Something like this, which means when are we going to see it ready? I mean,
I think some factors that really matters for the building of this International Lunar Research Station. One thing is that we need a more powerful rocket to send astronauts to the moon first. So that's why China aims to put the technauts on the moon by 2030. This is the first thing. And the second thing that we need more, country coming together to send the spacecraft, and also they are trying to build the lunar base with the help of the rocks on the moon. They are now using 3D technologies. They are trying to develop new technologies to use the lunar rocks to build a lunar base. So that's why we need more technologies to build a very safe and effective lunar base. So that's why, and also the other thing is about the communication. Because the moon is so far, we need more communication satellites, even a constellation on the moon to help the ground control have more effective communication with the astronauts, with the scientists, the engineers working on the moon. So astronauts, more powerful rockets, and also constellation about these satellites. These are critical for the building of this International Lunar Research Station. So that's why China and other global partners hope to build it step by step.
Of course.
2035 is a key time. Also 2040 is another key moment. They hope to build a more comprehensive model of this International Lunar Research Station by that time. So it is hoped that more astronauts, more scientists, engineers will be sent there to build this place.
It's interesting to
Very
hear that.
ambitious plan. So I think in the next 10 or 20 years, we will focus this mega project every year. It's on my agenda. I have to follow. There is a special conference on the International Lunar Research Station every year in China. I think both of you are welcome to,
We would love to
see
come.
the latest progress of this mega project in China. It will be held in China every year. So every year there will be some updates on this.
I think it's fair to mention that we are talking here about the moon specifically, but China has so much more on the agenda when it comes to space, from the constellation in near Earth orbit, from Mars and beyond. I mean, we are just focusing on a very small area, but I find it particularly interesting when you said we're looking into the usage of lunar rocks, regoliths for build. I mean, it sounds like the Moon Village concept, which was proposed by ESA, so where you cover the living environment under the moon dust. What about lava tubes and so on? Is that an issue? The other thing, earlier this week, ESA announced the Moonlight, or another step into the Moonlight project. What goes directly on the communication side, as you just mentioned, to get data back in wide scale? Because at the moment we have very narrow bandwidth, and if we want to have a station, we produce data. We need this data. I mean, simply to call home.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, very important, if I can just put an accent on something that Lee just said, and I was actually confirmed by the conference, the session on Monday. Chinese manned mission to the moon, so Chinese technonauts on the moon by 2030.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting date, because in my opinion...
It's 6 years away. That's it.
Yes.
Just to be the German on the table.
Thank you for calculating it for me, Torsten. What I meant is that I can see a very tight race with Artemis, because theoretically Artemis 4 should be the one that is going to put the first man of color and a woman, American woman, on the lunar soil. It was planned for before 2030. If I remember correctly, it was 2028 or even 2026. We know there has been delay with Artemis, so I think it's going to be a very interesting time, indeed. 2030, and a very tight race, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about the timeline for the NASA's Artemis, but we have been following the China's manned missions for several years, and we have been told by the China National Space Administration that they're aiming to send Chinese astronauts or technonauts by 2030. So they are now developing a new generation manned rocket. So that will be very important. We have to send them on the moon and bring them back safely. So it's the first time for China to have a crewed mission on the moon. But for the US, they have already done it several decades ago. So I think they are more experienced in these missions. And China is still new in the crewed mission on the moon. So I think it's still very challenging. We have to keep everything safe, especially for the astronauts. And also another thing I want to mention about China's Mars mission, because next year China aims to launch a Tianwen-2. That is, Tianwen-2 is another mission for the asteroid to collect the samples from an asteroid to bring it back. And the Tianwen-3 is around 2028. They want to bring back the samples from the Mars. This is also another huge, mission on the Mars, because no country has ever done that before, to bring back the samples from the Mars. So China aims to launch Tianwen-3 mission around 2028. They hope to bring back the Mars sample with 2 times of launches. So this is also a very a big project that I'm looking at in the next few years. The Mars mission.
We will see. Space is hard.
Space is hard, and space remains to be absolutely fascinating for all of us in the industry for decades. And if you guys are not infected by this virus of space, then I think at least it should be now or very soon. So Emma, anything to add on your end?
No, I think this was a very engaging conversation. Thank you so much, Lei, for being with us.
Before our ending of the conversation, it's great to have you here. Also, I want to ask you something about this IAC. What have you seen the latest trends? You have been at IAC for several years, but what about this one in Milan? Or what have you seen? What about impressed you most?
Well, Torsten is the right person to ask because he's been seen more than once. I see. This is my first one, so I don't have comparison. I'm sorry.
It's the first time.
For me, yes, it's the first one, so I have no term of comparison.
My first one was 12 years ago in Italy, in Naples, but then just a few thereafter, so Bremen and Paris 2 years ago. And it's always very impressive to see just this amount of people, the amount of technology that is shown. And Emma pointed it out in many of our shows so far. The IAC is a space where the world communicated with each other. We have different forums, other events in the US, in Europe, which are capsulated. Space Symposium. How many Chinese go to the Space Symposium and can have open conversation? Vice versa, how many American companies can go to China to the conference? And I think the IAC gives this, coming from this scientific platform of exchanging idea, coming from this very noble point of view. This year in particular, to be honest, I haven't seen too much. I was able to attend one session, and the rest was walking on the floor. And the development of VAST is super interesting to see. The private space station is a topic with the aging.
I think the evolution of the ISC is very interesting, and even if I wasn't here before, my understanding is that 12 years ago, like 20 years ago, this was more of a science academic meeting with very few stands and a lot of scientists discussing about science, space science, and now there is an entire floor that is completely dedicated to the commercial sessions. So it's somehow included its root, its initial purpose that was to bring the space community together, and has expanded on the new economy. So I think 90 is a big number, but I would say at least 50% of the booth that I saw, they are all commercial companies, and this would have not happened 12 years ago. No, absolutely.
Absolutely. No, that's a trend. That comes with the entire new space or commercialization.
Commercialization. It's Friday.
It's Friday. So the entire space business, that's for sure. But for me, I see it's one of the really few places where we, Western community, can learn about China in a very unprecedented way. And I think that's the true reason. I had the pleasure to be at GLEX at, I think, 2017 in Beijing, when it was around that time. And what was amazing to see openly what is planned, and now a few years later to see what is real there, and that is really a very impressive development, and I hope we can follow that, and we greatly appreciate your invitation to come to the conferences in China.
Yeah, and also Chinese city of Hefei is trying to host the next IAC in 2028. If they succeeded, I think maybe you could have the chance to go to IAC in China in 2028 if they succeed. Good luck with that.
Thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time here. It was fantastic to have. We would like to keep this communication channel open and really try to make more out of that.
Yeah.
And there are so many areas we would like to discover more. From space debris, from the regulation, from the comms side, from the science side. Space is vast, and that's also where...
And also important for media collaboration like us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Emma. with that, we say goodbye for the moment and SpaceWatch out.
SpaceWatch out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.